You ever wonder why it seems like the life that we really want to live is kind of out of reach? Even if it's something that we think about, it always seems like it's something in the way. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Man, well, today I'm going to talk about the 7 barriers blocking us from living our dream lives. All right. So before I do, what's happening, everybody? I am L.A. Williams, and y'all know I'm all about removing the limits from us living the lives that we really want to live. All right. So I'm going to jump right into it. Matter of fact, I know I said it's the 7 barriers, right? But I actually thought of an 8th one that I'm going to break down to you that I didn't put in the description and all that because just thought about it. So let's talk about the first one. The first barrier that I believe that exists is a lack of clarity, right? A lot of times we're not really clear on what it is that we want. How can we attack? How can we go towards something that we don't even really know what we're going towards? Y'all know what I'm talking about? So what we got to do is we got to get clear on our goals and dreams. Get clear on what it is that you want. What do you want more than anything? Like Sean Bradley says, begin with the end in mind. I know he got it from Dr. Covey, but I'm just saying, right? Begin with the end in mind. We have to say, okay, what do I want it to look like? And then once I know what I want it to look like, well, now I can head over towards it, right? Now, how do you get clear? Well, I always talk about writing stuff down. I think that when you write things down, it changes, it forces your brain to think about things a little bit differently, right? So literally, get yourself a pen and paper. I would grab my little braille device, right? And I would write down whatever it is that I'm thinking, even if you had to type it, whatever, right? Just put it on some sort of a documented format, all right? I think that's one of the simplest ways to get clear on what you really want. Because if you do that on a daily basis, things might adjust, things might change, but eventually you'll find that North Star vision, right? That's something that we gotta kind of delve deep into. All right, cool. So number 1 was lack of clarity. Number 2, I think that it's the fear of change or even failure, right? If I were to ask you what's the opposite of success, most people would say failure, right? But the truth to the matter is the opposite of success is settling, right? Failure is just something in the pathway of success, right? You gotta kind of get through failure so that you can get to success, right? So understand that the dream life that you really want is right on the other side of failure. You just gotta be willing to go through it. And we know that most people aren't. So I would submit to you, do not be the kind of person that is deferred, right? Deflected by failure. Just understand that it's a part of the game, okay? It's a part of the game. So if you are a linebacker or something like that and you want to go sack the quarterback, for all of my NFL fans, right? Well, then the offensive line represents your failure. They want to stop you from getting to the quarterback, but you got to get there anyway. You understand what I'm talking about? All right, so I talked about number 1 is a lack of clarity. Number 2 being fear of change or failure. But number 3 is societal or even like family pressure, right? There's, and we hear about it all the time. Jaspreet Singh, right? He's the coroner, or whatever you want to call it, right? Minority Mindset, right? He talks about how his parents wanted him to be a doctor, right? A lot of times family people, they want you to be a lawyer. They want you to, do some of these things that you may not really, that ain't what you dreamed of. That it might have been their dream, or it might be a profession that people think pays a lot of money, and so they want to inspire you, right? Because motivation comes from it. They might want to like push you, let's just say, towards being in that profession, but it's not really your dream life, right? Society might tell you, oh, hey, you know what? Don't do that, do this. But you don't really want to do this, right? But you want to satisfy family, or you want to satisfy society. I don't know if that's going to be the path. It definitely wouldn't be the path I would choose. Because I mean, who thought, right, that a blind guy would end up, well, probably not so much in music, but in the automotive industry. You want to talk about the financial services industry? Like, who thought that that's where I would have ended up? You understand what I'm saying? And it ain't over. Trust me, I promise y'all. I got a whole lot of stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about, though, right? Who even thought that that would have been a road that I would have traveled? I mean, seriously, if you think about it, because I'll be like, whatever. Y'all think what y'all want to think, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So that's my thought process. So anyway, we talk about a lack of clarity. We talk about the fear of change or failure, right? But also, I think, I didn't say number three. Number three was a societal and just the pressures that we feel around us, right? But number four is financial constraints, right? A lot of times, we want to be able to do stuff, but we got money problems, right? And the truth is, it's not really that we have money problems. The real deal is that we just didn't want it bad enough, right? Because how many times have you purchased something that you didn't have the money for, right? What happened? You figured it out. You was like, I wanted to do. Man, I'm telling you, I never forget the time that we opened our first real studio outside of somebody's basement. Well, no, it wasn't the first one because we had other ones, but they never really got off the ground. But I'm talking about the one that really, it was the one right up 69th Street. Y'all, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. So I remember that we needed $2,400, right? Man, it was $2,400 so that we could open up the doors, right? The first, last, security deposit, all that kind of stuff like that, right? And we had no money. I mean, I'm talking about no money, y'all. And so what happened was my business partner, he had some money. He ended up coming up with $800, right? I came up with, because it was some crazy, I ain't gonna tell the whole story, but there was a college that I was visiting, and a friend of mine, and they needed a musician, right? And so I don't really play the conga drums, but I played them that week, you know what I'm saying? And I played 4 shows, and they paid me. First of all, my first check was $800. My second check was $900, and I did another check. It was absolutely amazing, right? So then we had a third business partner that came away with $5, but that's a whole nother conversation. We ain't gonna talk about that one, right? Maybe I will, depending on I talk about these barriers, right? But these are just some crazy things. How in the world did we come up with that money? Because I promise you, I had no idea how it was gonna happen, but because I knew what it is that I wanted, opportunities just attracted themselves to me. I don't know if you want. I don't. We'll explore that in a different video. But I just kind of wanted to talk about that real quick because I think a lot of times we think that financial constraints hold us back, and it doesn't really. I mean, it might slow us down. It might kind of derail us. It might kind of force us to think a little bit differently. But I mean, I don't think it could really stop you. You know what I'm saying? So all right. So those are the first 4. Let's talk about number 5. Number 5 is, I would say, we don't have a list of actionable steps. We ain't got a plan, dadgummit, right? And so sometimes people hear this, or they might think that, oh, you know what, I need a plan. And so then that stops them from going for their goals and dreams. It's kind of, as I said, it's a barrier, but we got to be about breaking barriers, right? Listen, we got to have a plan, but it ain't always got to be a perfect plan. I don't even know no perfect out there anyway. Ain't no perfect plans, right? We just got to come up with a game plan, execute, right? I mean, run it by some people who know, right? Run it by some people who really kind of they've done it before, right? That way they can kind of give you an idea of some of the things you might be missing from your plan. They might give you an idea of some things that you have in your plan that you really don't need to do that, right? So we get that information and then we just start executing, right? Don't allow the plan or the lack of a plan, right, to be the reason why you don't hit your goals, right? Don't let it be the barrier. I know it's a barrier right now. It might seem like a barrier right now, but don't allow that to continue. All right. So Let's make sure we keep recapping. I think that's important. So, number one, we said lack of clarity. Number two, we said fear of change or failure. Number three, we said societal pressures, right? Number four, we said financial constraints. And number five, we said lack of actionable steps, right? But what about self-doubt? What about the limiting beliefs? A lot of times, it's not what's going on outside of us, right? It's the stuff that's going on inside of us. You see what I'm saying? And so I think this is probably more of a barrier than any of the other ones that I named. Meaning that, of course, we could change it and all that, but it's extremely difficult, right? Like, it's extremely difficult to change. For as much as I want to be this or I want to be that, inside my brain, ooh, y'all don't want to spend time there, you know what I'm saying? Because I go through all kind of stuff, little emotional stuff, like, negative thoughts and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, like, that kind of stuff is real, right? And I'm laughing about it only to keep from crying. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy the things that how we doubt ourselves, right? We got to get some daggum affirmations. We better figure it out, man, because we can't allow there to be any barriers that hold us back. And listen, I know a lot of y'all thinks that I don't have limited beliefs and all that kind of stuff like that. I think as a human being, you always gonna have something that kind of enters in your mind. The question is, do you allow it to hold you back? The question is, how long does it paralyze you, right? Listen, I got this whole thing where I need to get rid of stuff within 17 seconds. You understand what I'm saying? If I realize it's not a thought that I want to think, I got to be like, thank you, thought, for coming. You can go now, right? That's really how I have to. I got to use my mind in a way that I want to use it. I can't let negative thoughts come in and do their thing. I gotta get rid of them bad boys real quick. So we don't want to have self-doubt. We don't want to have limiting beliefs. If anything, I want to believe in myself. I want to be like, yo, I'm the man, right? And sometimes people think that type of stuff is like arrogant or whatever. But yo, I ain't found another way. Okay, I just haven't found another way other than having that self-talk that believes in myself. Maybe folks around me, maybe I don't get enough. I don't know what you would have called it, right? But I feel like that I need to talk better to myself. I have to encourage myself. Does that make sense? And I think you ought to encourage yourself too. All right. Getting kind of be a long video. So we talked about number 6, and I'll give you number 7, right? Without the recap. Number 7, I think, is a pure resistance to risk taking, right? A pure resistance to risk taking. I don't know how we expect to gain a reward without any risk. I just don't know how we expect to do that, right? You gotta take some chances. I like how Drake, one of his lines, I think it was in the Alicia Keys song, it'd be like, a chance is like a picture, it'd be nice if you just take it, right? I think that's what he said. Anyway, but I mean, that's how you gotta look at risk. You gotta say, listen, let me take this daggum chance, let me take a risk, let me take this shot, right? What Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I think people say Michael Jordan, but I think that was originally Wayne Gretzky. But anyway, it ain't about who said it. It's about the fact that it's the truth, dadgummit. Right? So we gotta say, you know what? I know there's gonna be risk. Let me maybe mitigate the risk in some way, shape, or form. But man, I gotta go for it. Right? We gotta go for it. All right. So let's kind of like close this thing out, because I did tell y'all I came up with another one, right? Those are the first 7, but I came up with a little bonus one. I'm a fan of A-Lux. I don't know if y'all know about A-Lux, right? They're pretty fried. So we said lack of clarity, right? We talked about fear of change. We talked about failure. We talked about societal, right? Familial pressures, all that good stuff, right? Financial constraints. We talked about lack of actionable steps. Don't have a plan. Self-doubt, limiting beliefs, right? We talked about resistance to risk-taking, but here's one that I think that people recognize, but they think they can't do anything about it, right? They think they can't do anything about it. It's an inadequate support system. Okay, I understand that is probably one of the biggest things that holds a lot of would-be entrepreneurs back. It's because they don't have a support system. And listen, you gotta build it. I mean, let's just be real about it. Like, I'm telling you, it's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most is like putting that support system in place, right? But I'm used to it because being blind, I have to kind of create a system around myself that allows me to kind of go through life without a bunch of trips and falls and all that kind of stuff like that, right? But we need a support system if you're really going to succeed at the levels that you want to, right? And so sometimes you're going to have to encourage your spouse to help you out a little bit, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to kind of talk to your kids and get them involved with helping you out, right? Sometimes you got to talk to your neighbors, get them to help you out. Sometimes you got to talk to some colleagues, get them to help you out. Man, you need a support system. Listen, we talk. Somebody put a post up. It was Russell Brunson. He put up a post and he said something about it takes more than sunshine and rain to grow a plant, right? And my response, and I put in the comments, I said, this is the whole thought process of a village, right? Like a support system raising an entrepreneur, like talking about a village raises a kid, not just two parents, right? You need more than just two things. You need a whole ecosystem of support to help you achieve your goals and dreams. And listen, it's not about like everybody doing something for you. Really, if you can collectively make it good for the community, you stepping out and doing something, hopefully it makes everybody around you better. So if folks don't want to do it themselves, man, goodness gracious, they can at least support you, right? And I understand that, listen, they're not just going to do it. I just want you to know they're not just going to do it because most of them, they have no idea. They don't have no plan. They don't have no idea. They don't have the vision, right? And so what you got to do is you got to help get the support system in place that you need. You got to be independent. You got to grow up a little bit, all right? So those were the 7 barriers that are blocking you from living the life you've always dreamed. Well, now 8 barriers. And I think if just making you aware of them, hopefully you're like, all right, LA. And it's probably some more, right? But I just wanted to at least put these out there in front of you because I think if we identify something, we call a spade, we know what it is, then we can't be like, it snuck up on us. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully if this video was valuable to you, go ahead and like it, right? If you think it would be valuable for somebody else, then go ahead and share it, all right? And hopefully y'all already subscribed to the channel, but if not, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'm gonna keep on bringing you multiple pieces of content. And this is supposed to be a little bit of a shorter content than my podcast, but this was a little long, but I hope it was valuable, all right? I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks, peace.